welcome in. It's Let Her Shoot. Sarah's in a bad mood today, but she's going to thug it out. We're going to talk about some shit. First and foremost, speaking of shit, we're going to talk about Carson Beck's whack ass.
All right, what number are we on? This is 3, episode 3 of Let Her Shoot. And you're in a different corner of the same room, and I am yet in a different room once again.
3 episodes, 3 different rooms.
And you've been in 3 different quarters of a 4-sided room, so which one are you going to be in next week?
I've been in the same corner since last week.
Oh, that's the same corner?
Yep.
It looks different to me.
It's your corner, the one that you did and in episode 1 that has a little bit more dimension.
And Tiger's making an appearance in the back.
I like him walking around. All right.
He's the 3rd member of the pod.
I can't really see him.
You can't really see him? He's just the big fluffy thing.
No, it's not on camera for this.
Oh, he's right there.
No, I can't see him.
Did you bring Emma today?
No, I didn't bring her. But I did see there's a dog in this workspace that I'm in named Oyster. Dog's name is Oyster, which is a wild fucking name. Especially if a dog was named Oyster, what color do you think it would be?
White.
Oysters aren't white.
No, but pearls are.
Yeah, but I asked what color oysters are, not pearls. If the dog's name was Pearl, I would think it was white. But this girl's colorblind. I would have thought at least gray. Oysters themselves in the can are
like dirty
gray. Dog's white.
Oysters in the can?
Yeah, you don't have oysters in a can?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, they're fire. Anyway, this dog, Oyster, Pomeranian, she's 10, and that's my desk neighbor. And I have a dog, Emma. And the woman's name is Emma, by the way. Here's a spoiler alert. The woman at the desk, her name is Emma. And I said, wow, my name? Crazy enough, my name is Oyster. That's so wild.
I knew you were going to say that before you even did. I just knew that was going to be the punchline. Wait, what color is the dog? I didn't get an answer on
White.
This. Oh, so I was right.
Yeah, Emma's black and Oyster is white. And Oyster's the de facto, this is where the pressure of the moment gets very high. So Oyster's actually the workspace's like honorary symbol mascot. When you take your little orientation, Oyster is the photo of like what the greeting of dogs. So Emma's kind of aggressive. So if Emma hurts Oyster in any way, it's a wrap. I'm kicked out.
Emma better be on her best behavior.
Yeah, yeah. Good news is Emma is Oyster's a beta dog, so I think they're good.
Oyster's a beta dog. You know who's not a beta?
Hannah Cavinder.
Hannah Cavinder.
Yeah, she's a boss bitch.
Did you see the video? Okay, so.
Hey, guy. By the way, let's go back and say this is the headlines part of the show.
Okay, I'll just clip it and.
Yep. You can double it. I mean, you can use it here and there.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Should I use your direction too? Kai Trump.
Who is Kai Trump? Is that a Trump, a real Trump, or is it like a
yeah, it's a real
Tosh
Trump.
.0?
No, it's a real Trump. If I remember correctly, she plays golf with Tiger and Woods. Yeah.
Okay.
She plays golf with Tiger Woods and Tiger Woods' son Charlie.
In what capacity does she play?
They all live in Jupiter.
Okay.
So
what relation is she to I just need the relationship to Donald Trump.
I'm pretty sure that she's his granddaughter. I think it's Junior's daughter.
JT's no, that's the
T Junior.
No, because it's DJ Trump. I think Donald J. Trump is the junior. Is he not? Like the president is the junior? No. Okay, so Don Junior's daughter. Is apparently friends with the Cavinders. Had a party.
Which I'm confused because I thought Kai Trump was like 17.
Great point. So am I.
I'm going to Google this because
I was thinking it was like, what's that person's name that does all the gossip? And he's got like a fake name.
Yeah, she's 17.
Yeah, she's 17.
Okay, so then that makes this video even more confusing. Now Tiger is.
I can see his tail. What is that gossip guy name? It's like
Demois?
It's like what was her name? She did that like thing with Nicole Richie. Paris Hilton, Perez Hilton. I thought that Kai Trump was like Kai Cenat and like with a fake Trump. Like, you know, if you had a creator that was a gossip rag columnist and they were like, oh, I'm Kai Trump. I'm going to combine these two super viral names. No, that's actually a person's name, Kai Trump.
It's a person's name. And she's 17 and for whatever reason was hanging out with the Cavinders. I didn't look into it enough as to why. So she posts a vlog on something, YouTube maybe. I mean, to be fair, I just saw the clip of this on Instagram. And Haley and Hannah are talking to Kai about the breakup with Miami quarterback
Carson Beck.
One of the punched out of his what is the I mean
he outkicked his coverage.
He outkicked his coverage, but then there's like punched up. He outkicked his coverage. All right, we'll just leave it at that. So he outkicked his coverage in nabbing Hannah, and then somehow fumbled the bag.
Yep.
I don't know what you're doing, what you're looking at, why you're doing it. I don't know what it means. Just let it go. It just is like looking into my soul when you do that. So, I mean, apparently it's not just, what did she say?
When I broke up with him and like all these cheating shit came out. I had no idea. I didn't break up with him because of cheating. I broke up with him because of like who he was.
Basically, she said, I don't really care that he was doing all that stuff on Snapchat. And I told him, like, you need to get your Snapchat in order. But really, I broke up with him because he's a piece of shit. Really. And has no friends. No one likes him.
No one likes him, which is, you know, unsurprising.
Do you think she knew that was going to go on a vlog when she was saying it? They literally had the camera out, and she's talking into it like I'm talking into you right now. And I'm like, ooh, this is uncomfy.
Yeah, I'm assuming that she would. I mean, these kids know when cameras are pointed that things are going on the internet. Like, they say it for effect on some level.
Anyway, I love that this is happening to a guy that's just a piece of shit like
and now he's stuck at Miami.
Meanwhile, her sister, could there be any difference between twins when her sister, Haley Cavinder, just got engaged to a Dallas Cowboy tight end? And by the way, what a trope. You don't have to marry athletes. If you're a woman athlete, you don't have to also date. Why don't you find yourself a nice guy at Intel? Okay?
You know, because where are they going to meet? They meet in the student cafeteria. They meet in to be fair, they meet in the DMs.
They meet in the DMs. Fine.
That's where they meet.
Come on. It goes down in the DM. Why? Why do you have to date athletes? Find somebody else. There's other influencers that don't use a ball. That's what I have to say.
That's what you have to say about that.
That's really all I mean, this is just news. This is just like
This is just news. Let's just run through it.
Yeah.
We got a couple other big headlines from today, mostly all in the realm of
We should probably let people know that this was the headlines part of the show.
Tell me about some of these transfer portal there's some big names in the transfer portal that moved around and shuffling around today.
Yeah, Janiah Barker goes from UCLA to Tennessee. She was at A&M, so she's moved around a lot. We kind of knew the writing was on the wall when Janiah Barker wasn't really messing around with Lauren Betts. They weren't in the lineup at the same time. Lauren Betts comes back to play with her sister, Sienna. So she goes to the transfer portal. You could kind of tell in the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 that she was probably out of there. She goes to Tennessee, which I think is a great fit for her. She's already been in the SEC before, and she was the youngest player to ever make the preseason All-SEC team before her sophomore year. So that's her. London Jones now goes to USC. She transfers from UCLA, stays in LA. She sets the UCLA record for most made threes in a season this year. I think that's an interesting one, not a huge one. But the biggest one probably is the bucket getter herself with some of the nastiest handles you've probably seen in the women's game, and that's Kiyomi McMiller. And Kiyomi McMiller played for Rutgers. She's actually a DMV Silver Spring kid, grew up in New Jersey. She plays like she grew up in New Jersey, too. And so when she ended up leaving Rutgers, well, first and foremost, back this up. So I don't know if you remember this, but Kiyomi McMiller had to go on Instagram and say, hey, Rutgers is playing USC and Juju Watkins, and I am not going to be able to play in this game. I've been sat. I'm like suspended. And there wasn't.
She was suspended?
There's not a lot of reasons why she was held out of the game. So
Interesting, okay.
She ends up not playing in that game. Turns out She wanted the green light from Rutgers. Her coach gave her that green light when she committed. Her teammates got a little bit salty that she was taking so many damn shots. And they weren't a good team. They were never going to beat anyone unless she went off for like 40 points a game. And averaged 19 points per game in her freshman season. And so then she's up out of there. She only played 6 more games after that USC holdout. And then we're like, okay, well, where is Kiyomi going to go? Is she going to go to, like, LSU? Is she going to go to South Carolina? Is she going to go to Texas, Duke? You know, one of the schools that normally people who are that good go to. And it turns out she's going to Penn State, which is, to me, quite a surprise.
And now, so I don't remember a lot about her recruitment, but she was not a heavily recruited player. Is that correct?
I don't think she was a 5-star, no. I mean, I think she was a player that people were after, but the knock on her is kind of what the knock on her still is, which is she's not a winning player. She's kind of a selfish player. She just wants to put buckets up. She's kind of in the same category as Mylasia Fulwiley is in terms of reputation. Just wants to go out there and put on a show, which let's be honest, I can respect that.
So does this new spot, this landing spot for her at Penn State, do you think that fits in with her wanting to be the star of the show? I mean, because Penn State's not, there's no
They're buns.
stars there.
Yeah, they're buns. And I think it absolutely had to do with that. She probably talked to the coach. She's like, all right, I want to stay in the Big Ten, and I want to play Rutgers twice a year, and I want to cook them fools. And they're like, hey, we'll let you have the rock. We'll do what Iowa allowed Caitlin Clark to do, which is shoot a bajillion shots per game. Somebody pointed this out in my comments on Instagram, which I think is super fair. Penn State, a ton of money in terms of their alumni base. So they could probably pay Kiyomi, quite a bit of money in order for her to play there. So I was surprised. I don't think that's the right place for her to be. But I don't really know what her priorities are either.
Mylasia Fulwiley, you brought her up. There's some updates on where she might go.
Yeah, so now there are reports that Mylasia Fulwiley is sent to visit Kim Mulkey and LSU. Which her and
What do you think of that?
Her and Floje together? Yeah, that's a star-studded team. That's a team that I'm not sure how many turnovers they're going to have per game, how they're going to get the shots to everybody, but you're talking about the number 13th overall recruit before going to South Carolina. And I think Mulkey is a great place for guards to shine, right? We're seeing that this has occurred. It doesn't necessarily mean that's going to translate to the W, but in college, she's had a bunch of guards that have looked really, really good. If LSU gets Sarah Williams, who is Wisconsin's forward, who's been visiting campus as well, and Flauge, that would be... They might be the number 1 team coming into next year.
You'd put them over UConn?
I mean, they'd be right up there. The
WNBA on a little bit of a hiatus now for the next couple weeks. I mean, not totally. We're still going to hear little bits and pieces coming out of training camps, coming out of, press conferences, intros to the teams. But our focus is really switching now mainstream to soccer, NWSL, which the season started, about a month ago now, and it's still early on in the season, but my Washington Spirit are already looking, they're looking burnt down, but they're also looking a little bit tough, so I'm happy about that.
Like the Phoenix, like the Phoenix rising.
The Phoenix rising from the ashes. Like literally that's what's happening right now. The other day they announced Trinity Rodman out indefinitely, which
that kind of
sucks.
crazy. That was kind of crazy though, because it
kind of left field, it felt.
And it felt, the thing that I thought was super interesting was the way that it came out was like really very under the radar. It came out on a Friday, on a slow news day, and it was just like, oh yeah, Trinity's not going to play against Orlando. And oh yeah, like the second tweet was like, also she's out indefinitely. And then like the third one was like, oh yeah, also she's in London right now at Ben Shelton's like tennis match.
It was actually Munich. It was actually in Munich.
Okay.
But her doctor was in London.
Got it.
Apparently,
so she's over the pond. She's over the pond.
She's over there, yeah.
And so at first I was kind of like, oh, this is kind of like a a little like hiatus, almost like when you say, oh, my neck, my back, my neck and my back. And it's like you just really want to support your man. But it didn't really make sense because they were playing the defending champs. But who knows, right? And then it was like, oh, yeah, no, she's out indefinitely.
Right. And, I remember I didn't even know that she was out until I saw the picture of her at Ben Shelton's game. And I went, there's a game today. And it's not in Germany, I can tell you that. It was in Orlando. Yeah. So I don't really understand what our starting forward is doing sitting in a stadium in Munich
watching tennis.
By the way, a little bit of a theory. Did you notice in that video she's got no braids? She took her braids out. She took the pink braids out.
Yeah, I did see that.
Which I wonder if it's a little bit like, was she trying to be like fly under the radar? Like no one, because you see pink braids, you're going to know it's Trinity Rodman.
Definitely. I think anytime you're a celebrity of that magnitude, you probably want to fly under the radar if you haven't had messaging about what you're going to do with your injury. And I don't know if she was saying that she was ready to announce that. That's kind of interesting too.
And I'm curious, we don't know, we have no idea. Is this indefinite leave of absence? Is it a week? Will she be back training with the team, in 2 weeks from now? Or is this, we're not going to see her the rest of the season? Is this a season-ending injury now that we've got to fill this role in Washington for the rest of the year, which is a long season ahead.
And what's really interesting too is, like you mentioned, she's the starting forward, but she hasn't been starting. She's been coming off of the bench in every match that she's played in so far this year, which I thought was precautionary, but maybe her back was worse than we really thought it was. She said in that friendly that they just played, the national team just played, that everything was
against Brazil.
Against Brazil, excuse me. That essentially she's been fine for a while now, and that she's feeling good.
It does make you wonder a little bit about like what's going on in Washington here, because they have 11 players on the injured list right now, which 11 out of a full NWSL roster is anywhere from 22 to 25 players. So they have almost half the team out right now with injuries, which is astronomical.
Yeah, and to me, as someone who doesn't really follow the NWSL as closely as you, but follows other leagues, what you can say when an entire team or there's a bunch of players that go down with injury, you're like, well, what's going on with this training staff?
Exactly.
And do I feel confident if I'm Trinity Rodman, who, by the way, this isn't even what I was thinking about until just right now. Trinity Rodman, she's on an expiring, yes? So she has the ability to go wherever she wants to go after this season? Yeah?
Yeah, theoretically, we could never see her play for Washington again.
Correct. So if I'm Trinity,
which would suck,
right? And she's the future face, current face of the sport, and say Trinity Rodman's not feeling the Washington Spirit's training staff, and she just decides to, I don't know, kind of like Kawhi Leonard did. So, by the way, real side note, there's this guy Kawhi Leonard in the MNBA, and
yeah, he's the one that has the funny laugh, right?
Yeah, he has a ha ha ha.
Yeah. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, I've heard that.
That's the one. And so he had a thigh issue, which turned into like a knee issue, which became very systemic. And the team that he was playing for, the San Antonio Spurs, he thought that they were not managing his injury well enough. So he ended up getting his own training staff, which kind of appears what is Trinity Rodman is doing. Like, yo, I don't really trust these mofos. I'm going to go to London and see a specialist. And I think even Emma Hayes, the U.S. women's national team, was connected to this specialist, at least what I've read. There's very little information on it.
Well, no, that would make sense because she spent the last of her career in Chelsea, at Chelsea. So
Kawhi Leonard gets his own specialist, ends up forcing his way out of San Antonio and going somewhere else, only because of the way that they handled his injury. So if I'm a Washington Spirit fan and I see that the Spirit are down 11 players and the face of the sport is one of them out indefinitely, she could spend the entirety of the season in London working on her back.
Which, by the way, is in a much closer proximity to some of the squads over there that are fighting for her contract next year right now, like Arsenal and Manchester United. And if she's got a doctor in London that she really trusts to take care of her back, it's going to be hard for her to say, no, I'm going to go back to Washington. If I were Michelle Kang, I would be on the phone with that doctor right now. I'd be getting his visa paperwork lined up to bring him and his entire family to the States so that Trinity Rodman can have whatever doctor she wants.
Agreed. I think she's too important for you to let her go.
You can't. You can't. I know that stats-wise, there are forwards with better stats than her. There are faster, there are more accurate, there are whatever. But Trinity Rodman right now is the face. That would be like allowing Paige Beckers to just walk out of the WNBA. She's too important. She's too important to putting people in the stadium. I know she's not selling out arenas like Caitlin Clark or Paige Beckers, but she's selling jerseys. She is garnering interest. There are people who are watching, who are coming to games for her. Paige Beckers went to a Spirit game to watch Trinity Rodman play.
It's crazy.
You can't allow her to walk out.
No. And I think what's fascinating, just kind of spinning it forward, is at least the one thing that I will say is a positive if you're a player like hers is when you know that the team's holding you down while you're gone. It's not all on her, right? So the Spirit snapped the Orlando's 22-game win streak, and they're now second in the power ranking. So that's just an encouraging one loss, just an encouraging sign for a team that is without their starting forward, who's out indefinitely and down 11 players in total.
And it's not just her that's out. You have Croy Bethune, who's been out. I want to say for over a year now, if even that. It might. They keep saying she's coming back, but we've yet to see her actually play. So Lisi Santos, who has, she's been a really clutch goal scorer for Washington since they got her. And Hal Hirschfeld's out too, which is, she's not a goal scorer, but she is, she's scored important goals at important moments, but she is a solid piece of the defense that they're just depleted kind of all over the field right now. And so they're making some really interesting moves, I think, to keep them alive and keep them second in the power rankings right now, which is kind of a miracle. But they signed this girl. I love this story. So in order to make up for these consistent losses, now they're not down 11 players every single week, but they are consistently down. I think they have 5 out on season-ending injuries. And then they have, like Trinity and Croy that are just indefinite, that we don't really have an end date on. So they've brought in a lot of, recent signings, including this Nigerian player, and she has probably one of the best names that I've ever heard in sport. Her name is Gift Monday.
It's the best.
Best name. I read that and I went, is this her actual name? Is this not a real name?
By the way, because we already know what time it is with our girl from Kentucky, Georgia Amore, who did the deal with Russell Westbrook. I don't know if you remember the name of Russell Westbrook's brand. Do you remember it? It's called Honor the Gift. Oh my God.
I wasn't sure where that was going.
Oh my God. Could you imagine Gift Monday with
she needs to get a deal with that.
Honor the Gift. Yo, honor the fucking gift. Come on, bro.
Yeah, that would be great. So Gift Monday signs end of March. She gets signed from Liga F, which is the Spanish. I will butcher the name of the team if I try to say it. Can I get a spell check from the in-house research or a
Tenerife? Granadilla? Tenerife.
Yeah.
I like that.
We're going to go with that.
So she's basically, I think she's from Granada. Is that like a Granada team?
No, that's in Liga F.
No,
so
but
that's
it's in Spain,
a Spanish
right? Yeah,
team.
so is that in
Granada's
Granada's
She's
Granada's
Nigerian.
Yeah.
She's Nigerian.
But Granada is in Spain.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I understand the question now. I thought you were asking if she was from Granada, and I was like, no, she's from Nigeria.
Yeah, we got that straight. I got that. I just wanted to know whether she was playing in Granada. My nephew is teaching English in Granada, so I had a little vested stake. I actually had, real quick, I had an Airbnb issue in Granada where I had bed bugs. Never forget. had to move out.
I did not care for my one time that I went to Spain.
You didn't do anything.
I worked.
Yeah, that's what I mean by not doing anything.
Okay, well, I still worked the whole time.
How would you know if you liked the environment if you didn't enjoy anything other than work?
Fair enough.
We'll move on. Gift Monday.
We'll move on.
Fucking beast.
Gift
Tell
Monday.
me about her.
So she gets signed. She gets signed end of March, March 25th, I want to say. She shows up first practice like April 8th and then plays one game. She comes in like
April
in the
3rd.
70th minute. What's that?
April 3rd. She arrived on April 3rd.
April 3rd, thank you.
Yeah.
I wrote that down and I even can't read my own notes. So she arrives on April 3rd, then she came on as a sub April 11th. Gets limited playing time, just couple minutes just to get her, you want a pat on the back because you read the note that I put in correctly? Okay.
Little golf clap. Go ahead.
A little golf clap for you. By the way, we need to get rid of the golf clap. Clapping in golf should be loud.
And we need to get rid of get in the hole. What do you mean get in the hole? Are you a fucking idiot? It cannot get in the hole 500 yards away. Are you fucking stupid? Are you fucking like slow? What are you saying?
That's the frat boys.
Fucking
That's what that
nerds,
is.
you fucking twans. Get out of here.
That's the stoolies.
Yeah, like you guys are so lame.
They really are. So anyway, Gift Monday. So she gets there on April 3rd. She makes her first minutes on April 11th. And then this past week, first start, 60th minute, gets her first NWSL goal. It's the only goal of the game, snapping Orlando's 22-game win streak. They're no longer undefeated. We look at me. I'm on the team now.
We love to see it.
Which is, there's been sort of this like
rivalry.
kind of budding rivalry between the two teams lately, which is, I'd like to say that's me because I started as a Pride fan.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Why would it be you?
I don't know because I switched allegiances, so therefore.
The fact that you became an Orlando Pride fan with DMV roots is blasphemy.
Well, because I didn't live in the DMV.
You had it, and then it came away. Yeah, see, I know how that is to have a camera just lose you.
Okay, so it's because when I moved to Orlando, there was no NWSL. It didn't exist. So I never lived in DC with the NWSL until 2022.
Got it.
2014 to 2022, I lived in Orlando.
I watched them play, we both watched them play in some sort of commissioner's exhibition game to start the season. I don't really know what that's about. I know it doesn't really count. But anyway, it looked like it counted.
Yeah, and it was a rematch of the last year's championship, which was Spirit versus Orlando. And, they got the best of, the Pride got the best of the Spirit in the first matchup last year in the championship. Vice versa in this one. They felt like they were proving their point. So now it's sort of like 2-1 Washington. Yes.
I have a random question as a non-Floridian. Is Orlando pro LGBTQ? Is that a little like a little safe space for the LGBTQ community or no?
Let me take you on a little history lesson. So I don't know if you remember this. You probably do, I'm assuming. But do you remember the Pulse nightclub attack?
Yes.
So that was right in the heart of Orlando. Orlando is it's Disney. It's a lot of college students that live there for Disney who come and work internships. It's a lot of, which, typically, you have a lot of people from a lot of different backgrounds with that. I would say Orlando is kind of a safe place, but I would say that there's not a lot of like homegrown lesbians there. After the Pulse shooting, I would say that it became a safe place for the gay community in Orlando because it became so like everyone sort of just put like a shield around the gay community there because it was like a no one messes with our community type of thing, and that includes the gay community. So now since 2016, since Donald Trump, I don't know, it's a little bit different down there. That's why I don't live there anymore.
Okay, so my ignorant ass is just wondering why Orlando thought they should get the name Pride. If anything, it should be the Portland Pride. Because Portland's a big LGBT, Washington Pride, big like gay community. There's other places that should have Pride other than fucking Orlando.
Yeah, it's a Lions Pride.
How about we do a trade? the Portland Thorn trade their name to the Orlando Pride, and so now it's the Orlando Thorn, and it's the Portland Pride.
It's because most of the teams are named kind of to coincide with the men's professional team, because apparently we can't have women without men.
So but it's Magic, Orlando Magic.
That's the basketball team.
Oh, got it. What's the MLS team? Obviously not important enough for us to know off the top of our head.
It's Orlando City Soccer. Hold on, I have to go back to it. So Orlando City Soccer, to be fair, I don't know why their mascot isn't a lion, but I'm assuming that in some capacity they think that it's like the Lions' pride, so it's the Orlando Pride. The women's team is somehow like under the watch of the men's team. I don't really understand No, I mean, it's a valid thing. I think that I have more issue with it because it's so linked to the men's team. But to be fair, so is the Portland team.
Well, timber is a plant. It's wood, right? It's
Sure.
like it's cut down trees, and thorns are just on plants. You don't have to cut them; they're just on them.
Is it the City of Roses?
Yes.
Is Portland the City of Roses?
Is.
Oh, well then that's why.
Yeah.
It's because every rose has its thorn.
Yeah, so it has really nothing to do with the Timbers.
Okay, well that's fair. But regardless, I don't think that they're going to be able to give a name away.
All right, well, that's just my thought.
I mean, you can think about it, but I wouldn't.
Speaking of giving things away.
Speaking of Trinity Rodman and going to the UK to play, another reason she might go is the money. Because unless something really changes, it's going to be a while before the NWSL is giving out the salaries that arguably the players deserve. So
Indubitably.
Indubitably. Lindsay Heaps, a la Haran, because I will still always in my head refer to her as Lindsay Haran. It's just, it's been too long calling her that. Every time I see Heaps, I'm like, who? So anyway, she said in a press conference or to reporters earlier this week that the reason that so many players, off the top of my head, Naomi Girma, Emily Fox, Jenna Neiswanger,
Did you say Naomi Girma?
I did.
Did you say Naomi Girma?
I said Naomi. Did I not?
You did, but did you? Did somebody mention Naomi Girma?
Oh, you're just excited because you heard Naomi Girma's name.
Yeah, baddie.
So, baddie, Naomi Girma, Emily Fox, and who's also a baddie. And I mean, listen.
The baddies are getting their bread.
The baddies are getting their bread in the UK. So in Britain, baddies getting their bread in Britain.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it boils down to. And I think there's a lot of validity within that statement that you can get paid more in the UK. So why not go there? I mean, the NWSL salary cap right now is only $3.5 million a year for each team.
Did I tell you I don't believe in a salary cap? I don't believe in it.
Fair enough.
I don't believe in it.
I don't.
I think especially when you're talking about trying to build out the sport and you've got people who have a lot of money that think very highly of their ability to create profitability in a growing sport like Michelle Kang is doing with the Washington Spirit. If you opened it up and said, Michelle Kang, you can pay Trinity Rodman, even if it was like one player on your roster, unlimited salary. Just
right.
One. And if you said that to her, then you wouldn't have Naomi Girma moving to Chelsea. You wouldn't have Emily Fox and Jenna Neiswanger going over to Arsenal. So that's crazy to me. So the fact that you have a salary cap at $3.5 million for an entire team, for 26 players, and one of them is getting $500,000 a year, and that's getting underpaid. We got real problems here with the NWSL. If we really want to grow it, you got to open it up and allow them to give these girls their bread.
Well, you've got probably half the team making minimum wage.
I think I saw one of the Washington Spirits players serving Ben's chili at the Ben's Chili Bowl.
You really hate Ben's Chili Bowl.
I'm just saying that's what I thought.
You have to cause Ben's Chili Bowl drama wherever you go.
I just thought I saw it.
Okay, well, I don't think you did, but I think the point stands that $48,000 a year, which is the
in DC
minimum wage,
is crazy.
which is minimum wage of sport of NWSL players, is not livable. Not in this economy. It's $48,000 a year is not a livable wage.
They're gonna have to live like teenagers. They're probably living 4 to an apartment and sharing rent, and you're a pro soccer player, and you could go over to the UK and make a couple $1 million. It's crazy.
Well, look at where these teams are. LA, San Francisco, Chicago, DC, Boston, New York. You can't afford life in any of those cities making $48,000 a year. That's just not reasonable. I don't know if you know this. Do you know what happened with Angel City last year with the salary cap?
No. Oh,
No.
I think I heard they were penalized for going over.
So they got a $200,000 fine. Their GM got suspended. Their president got suspended. All of this because they went $50,000 over the salary cap. And the reason they went $50,000 over the salary cap was because, now given they were doing some shady things. And the shady things weren't...
What kind of shady thing?
They were shady to the league.
Okay.
It was not shady to the players, in my opinion. So what happened was they signed these side little contracts away from the salary cap, away from what the team was responsible for, and to pay childcare for or at least they know nothing has really ever been made public, but Sid LaRue posted about something, Sarah Gordon posted about something. Both of them have kids. Both of them play for Angel City. They've both kind of hinted towards what happened, and it sounds like that the team paid for flights, transportation, childcare on away games, and all of that amounted...
That shouldn't go towards the salary cap, by the way.
No, but the NWSL's argument is it's included in the salary cap. And I think that teams get and I could be totally wrong on this, but I want to say it's something like $5,000 a player towards, is what they're allotted, essentially $5,000 a player for childcare, which anyone who's ever tried to raise a child would tell you that $5,000 a year cannot pay for childcare. And
did I tell you
these
my
women are
mom
professional athletes.
Did I tell you my mom asked me the other day, I didn't, if I wanted to freeze my eggs? And I said, Mom, in this economy, I can't afford to freeze my eggs, let alone pay for the kid if I ever have to have the kid when it's $5,000 a month for child care, let alone $5,000 for an entire season for these players.
Yeah, they don't, some of them have multiple kids. And not to mention, it shouldn't be about that. It should be about that you're providing a living wage for people who work for your brand. A brand that, and by that I mean Angel City, who I think was evaluated at $280 million last year. So you're telling me that a company, an organization that is evaluated over, at least over $250 million cannot pay for one of their players to have childcare.
It's valuated.
Okay, sorry.
Trinity Rodman needs to have a baby soon because here's the thing. Remember when Caitlin Clark came into the league? I don't know if you remember this, but before Caitlin Clark came into the league, the New York Liberty wanted to have chartered flights for all their players.
Oh, yes, I do.
And then the league came down and they fined the New York Liberty a bunch of money. I think it was $5 million or something, and they threatened to take draft picks away. It was huge. It was a big deal. And then the Aces wanted to do it. I think the owner of the Aces or the owner of the Liberty said, hey, we'll just pay for everyone to get on chartered flights. And they said, nope. The league was like, nope, can't do that. That's not part of the collective bargaining agreement. And then a couple of years later, Caitlin Clark comes into the league, and she's like, hey, obviously face of the sport, transcendent talent. And she's like, hey, when I was at Iowa, we flew chartered flights. So this is kind of wild. And then the next day, they all had chartered flights. So if Trinity Rodman has a baby and she's like, me and Blake Shelton can't take our baby on the road.
That's not her boyfriend's name.
What's his name?
Ben Shelton.
Ben Shelton.
She's not dating Blake Shelton.
Blake Shelton's a country singer, right?
That would be a story. If Trinity Rodman made some grand debut with Blake Shelton, I think the world would have a lot of questions.
Listen, I was on a roll, okay?
You were. I'm sorry. I just couldn't let that
I
error
love
slide.
that. I love that. That was a big error. Blake Shelton is not like Ben Shelton at all. But
No.
you can understand just a white guy named Shelton.
I don't think Ben Shelton is white.
What? What do you mean he's
Yeah,
not white?
I'm pretty sure he's not white.
Ben Shelton's not white?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Hold on. Oh yeah, he's mixed.
Yeah.
He's half white.
So you just got nothing right. Just
Anyway, so if Trinity Rodman and her boyfriend Blake Shelton says, "Hey, we have a baby together," I think the NWSL comes through and allows babysitting and childcare for players outside of the salary cap.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole big deep dive I want to do at some point on maternity and motherhood and sports, and there's a lot of red tape in both the WNBA and the NWSL. I'd be curious to dig into the PWHL's policies on all that too, because there's a lot of, I think, people that talk, owners, lawyers, agents who make negotiations who don't consider
My neck hurts.
the long term of the players and all that. And there's a lot I could get into and a lot of soapboxes I could sit on, but I won't do that right now. Instead, I'd like to move just a little bit north of the border. Well, I mean, I'd like to move north of the border regardless, because right now feels like a safer place to be. But specifically, Canada started their own professional women's soccer league, and it debuted last week. So very excited for our Canadian neighbors up.
I bet
there.
I bet the Northern Super League pays for maternity leave for their players.
I actually don't know the
No,
answer
they
to that
probably don't.
question.
I bet Canada just in general pays for
Probably. Well, see, here's the difference. Canada has healthcare.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
you don't really have that same cost out of pocket as you do in the United States to have a child.
I'm going to be
So-
honest. I don't know a lot about the Super League. I know we talked about it a couple months ago that it was happening. What I'm curious about is why it's starting.
Yeah. So I don't know a ton about it either. I haven't done a full,
Great. We're both
dig
informed.
into it. But what I do know and what I can tell you is that Diana Matheson, who was a Canadian soccer player, I almost said football. Look at me. I'm like British. So Diana Matheson was a Canadian soccer player. And she teamed up with Christine Sinclair, who you should know because she is a Portland Thorn legend. She just retired last season. It was time. Christine, you don't know who Christine Sinclair. She is the Canadian Abby Wambach.
Okay. I know Abby Wambach.
Okay. So she's just a legend across the board. She played at Portland. Anyway, so Christine Sinclair returns back to Canada, and I think that I'm going to put words in their mouth because I'm just going to summarize this. But they decide they want to grow the league in Canada. They all had to come to the U.S. to play because there was no league in Canada, and they want to do what so many NWSL players did back in 2012 was when the NWSL started, 2012, 2013. Anyway, a lot of players came back from playing over in Europe to the NWSL to start the league because they felt that it was really important to do. So now in Canada, you've seen a little bit of the same thing. Quinn, no last name, just Quinn, scored the first goal, and they played for Seattle for a lot of number of years. But goes back, there's other big stars.
Wait.
So they scored the first ever Canadian professional league goal. When Vancouver hosted Calgary, a penalty kick. It was very exciting. Crowd went wild. I think they had something of like north of 17,000 fans on attendance. So Canada is ready for women's soccer to be there. I'm actually surprised that it's taken this long. I had expected the NWSL at some point to expand into Canada, just like
The MNBA.
or the WNBA.
Well, just now, but the MNBA.
Just now. But what I'm saying, what the WNBA just did is kind of what I expected the NWSL to do. For a long time, the NWSL had an agreement with Canada Soccer, and to help develop Canada Soccer through the NWSL in the same way that they develop US Soccer. But that got dropped, I want to say, in 2023. So Canada was really kind of stuck looking for a place to develop their players. And here comes Northern Super League, which
do you think this is gonna work? Like, do you think this is gonna be exciting? People that you know that live in Canada, are they excited about this? Because ESPN did a broadcast deal, which I think is important. 40
ESPN Plus, right?
Yeah, ESPN Plus, to televise 40 plus Northern Super League matches in the USA, which I think is good for everyone. But I guess if you're a US fan and you're already watching the NWSL, do you then want to also add the Canadian Northern Super League to your viewing pleasure?
So I think it's going to end up becoming it's sort of how the Canadian Football League is to the NFL, where it's not necessarily within direct comparison. It's not necessarily, I think Canadian soccer fans will appreciate it for Canadian soccer. And I also think it's going to provide space for college graduates to go and have a spot to play if they don't make an NWSL roster. And now I don't think anyone has said, hey, this is going to be a developmental league for the NWSL, but I think it will end up functioning as such, because I think that, kids are still going to want to go to the NWSL draft when they graduate from college. There's still going to be that push to go overseas and play for one of these, elite teams like Chelsea or Man United or Arsenal. That is going to remain. I don't know that, the Halifax Tide is going to start to rival that anytime soon. But what I do think it does is it gives a lot more roster spots to a lot more people who are deserving of.
And we're going to talk about the USA-Canada hockey game in the World Hockey Championship in just a second. But if this Super League becomes a developmental league for Canadians and it's designed to strengthen their national team, and the U.S. is the bad bitch on the block, essentially, or at least has been for so long. We don't know if that's the case right now. That is left to be said. Is that also to strengthen the rivalry? Does that strengthen the rivalry and the competitiveness between Team USA and Team Canada?
I mean, I think soccer is better when Canada and the US are good. I think that when they're both playing as dominant forces, it's just better for the sport. I think it's better for the sport at all levels. I think Canada versus US is a healthy rivalry. It's not a bitter rivalry, but it's a hard-fought rivalry. Like, it's a really, just like hockey we're going to talk about, but it's, they want to win. It does not matter if it's a friendly. It doesn't matter if it's a World Cup final. They haven't ever played in a World Cup final, but the history of the US has always been very tense. Specifically in the Olympics, they have played each other, I don't know exactly how many times, in quarterfinals or semifinals matches, and the U.S. typically gets the best of Canada. In 2020, the 2020 Olympics and 2021 in Tokyo, Canada finally toppled the U.S. in the semifinal round, and they went on to win the gold. And it was a very big deal for them. It was a very big deal for Canada soccer fans. They came home. There were people lined up at the airport with posters, and it was extremely exciting.
It was a big deal.
It was a very big deal for them. And as soon as they got home, Canada Soccer ripped the funding out from underneath of them.
Well, that's fucked up.
Yeah, super. And, they've been really battling with the equal pay issues that the U.S. was battling with for, we saw Megan Rapinoe and Alex Morgan and all of them on, in front of courts and Today Show and everywhere, pleading their case. Canada is trying to do that. They're trying to get what they deserve. They're trying to get the funding they deserve. They've really been struggling. Then this year, this Olympics, I don't know if you remember what happened at the Olympics, but
a little computer issue again. The light went out.
Pickup. So at this past Olympics in Paris, Canada got themselves in a little bit of a pickle. I don't know if do you remember this story?
I don't.
So Canada got caught spying on, I want to say, what team was Australia? I want to say it was Australia.
They were spying?
Yeah, they were flying a drone over their practice.
Oh,
And
that's
they got
electric.
busted. And they got busted.
They're
And they got
Patriots.
busted bad.
They're the Patriots. The
They were
MNFL.
the Patriots. The
MNFL.
MNFL.
The MNFL team.
They pulled a boy sport move for sure. You know, anything to win. And that was what they did. Well,
Yeah, you
their
ain't
coach.
cheating. You ain't trying.
So they got like some amount of point suspension. So the way that the Olympic table works is you get points for wins, you get points for draws, you get no points for losses. So they immediately got deducted, I want to say 3 points from the rest of the field. So they had to win out. Like they were, or 6 points. It was pretty much, when it happened, it was like, well, this is going to be impossible. Canada has to win every group phase game. They were not going to be able to get out of the group because you can't lose, you can't drop a game. Canada went on to win every single game in order to carry them through. They had no coach. They had been deducted points. And
That's actually an amazing story.
Yeah, I mean, they did. No, they eventually lost. I'm pretty sure to the U.S. I don't remember.
Sounds like something Google could do. Let me see.
It sounds like something Google could do. So while you Google that, so it basically, Canada has been looking for, the country has a really big appetite for good soccer, and they really do want to see the sport succeed. And so I think that the people in the country, you know, this is the same country that has sold out PWHL games over and over and over again. So women's sports fans exist there, and they exist. Bottom line is
the rivalry is strong. That's all you're saying.
The rivalry is strong. The rivalry is strong. It's going to remain strong. I mean, they're coming in July to play, July 4th weekend in DC, and I'm sure it's going to garner a lot of attention, especially if these tariffs keep up. So
That's a good point. That's a good point. Let's talk about
there's a lot of tension.
Hockey. There's a ton of tension.
Yeah, speaking of tension, the women's IIHF Women's World Championships.
Yes.
Last week.
Yes. Team USA beat that ass, baby. Oh, yeah. Overtime, we had a 20-year-old from Penn State, Kiyomi McMiller's new school. She scores the game winner. And I think what was pretty lit was she had put a little sauce on it, tucked her stick into the crowd because she had another teammate, another Penn State player who did the same thing. She is her second gold medal with Team USA.
Now, I asked our resident Canadian what the bigger rivalry was.
Are we just going to say resident Canadian, like so mysterious?
Sam.
Okay.
Yeah.
Our podcast second producer, social media, Gen Z. We'll call her our Gen Z Canadian.
Liaison. Our Gen Z liaison. So I asked her what's the bigger rivalry? Is it U.S. Canada soccer or is it U.S. Canada hockey? And she said hockey. Now, I have no proof of this, but her reasoning, which does make sense, is that soccer is a global sport and neither Canada or the U.S. feel as if they own it. However, hockey
is a Canadian sport.
It's a Canadian sport, but Americans, United States Americans, feel as if it belongs to them. You know, the NHL is a massive entity in Canada, probably more so in Canada than the U.S. I would imagine, but you know, it's heated rivalries in hockey, and so I think anything that translates those rivalries is going to continue. And you have NHL fans who are, you know, Canucks fans versus Penguins fans. You know, it's the same group of people that are rooting for U.S. Canada hockey, and I think that that's probably where you see a little bit more of this why that rivalry is so strong.
Yeah, it was super dope though. OT back and forth. I think her name is how you pronounce it, Janik.
Yeah.
Yeah, Janik.
Tessa. We'll call her Tessa.
Tess. Little Tessie Tess. Anyway, steals the puck, goes behind the defense, taps in the winner. And they had a little bit of an injury scare with USA star goalie who ended up getting just toppled. I don't know. You should probably put. It was like full on. I know it was an accident. It was a full on ice tackle.
Really?
It was. Oh, I would pull it up right now if I was you. It
Okay,
was
what is it?
Full on. It is. It's a ball. There are like two little ball. She smacks her. It was like a car crash.
I gotta look at this. All right.
Oh
Let me
my
look.
goodness. I'm surprised there wasn't some sort of. Anyway, Gwyneth Phillips was the backup goalie and she had to step in cold. And she made 17 saves.
Oh, ow.
She ran into her full speed. Like
Full
directly
speed.
into her. I've never seen that before in hockey.
Now given, I don't know how you move out of the way with that. For either of them, she's going after the puck. She doesn't even see the girl, looks up, she's there. You can't stop on skates,
No, but it was like she didn't even try to stop on skates. They thought it was a dirty play, but I don't think it was a dirty play. I don't really know enough to say.
I don't either. There were a couple, was this a dirty play or was this not a dirty play? I saw another one in softball over the week, LSU, that was like,
oh
Texas,
yeah, no,
LSU.
yeah. I saw that girl. By the way, I think if someone's in your base paths, you should be allowed to just straight
run over them.
She should have the access to the base pass. That's what I'll say.
I'm an advocate for more.
Wow, that was a cat.
Please hold.
I think that's a good time to wrap it.
I am a proponent for, I think that we should have more physicality in women's sports.
Well, at least that we shouldn't put our panties in a bunch about it.
That's what I mean. I think that, we hear it all the time, let them play. Let her
shoot.
Let her shoot. And I think that that's what we should do. Let them play, let her shoot.
I had a great time with you today. I don't know if you had a great time.
That seems a little sarcastic.
I don't know if you had a great time with me, but I had a great time with. Anyway, next episode we've got a blind react to an athlete, and our Gen Z expert's gonna be the one who supplies that to us, so we're not gonna know what's coming there. We're gonna have more information.
Blind reaction.
Blind react. We're gonna have some more info on some of these new transfer portal pieces of info that's starting to roll out. I don't actually know when the transfer portal completely closes. It's soon. That's all we know. It's soon.
Definitely.
More NWSL news. Just more action. Hopefully Sarah's in a better mood. What do y'all think?
We'll try.
We're going to get this girl a ring light. In the meantime, thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for rocking with us. Social clips will be out soon. Let her shoot.
Let her shoot.